Neutered DeCastro a non-issue at first new audit. Largely ignored and impotent as suspect taken into custody. Floyd Wallace rage quits another live stream. Will he ever pay back the money he owes? Don't let Craig Hendry fool you. He is a public defender for his upcoming appeal. Plus, he is facing more time from 3 cases in Indiana. Will he have a Merry Christmas in jail? All this and more in this edition of Auditing Insanity. Good evening, and welcome to another edition of Auditing Insanity brought to you by ReallyCoolNews. I'm AI Johnny Jones, and I wanted to express thanks to all those folks who have joined in and contributed to the memorial for Annalisa Globamom Reynolds, who passed away in November after a short stint with cancer. Last night, as part of the Suck It Phil Monday 8 Festivus event, we held a fundraiser and were able to raise the final $300 needed for her family to meet their goal for her memorial service. We are so thankful for your contributions, and we're still smiling as we ask you to focus on.
DeCastro shows off changes in new LA audit. In perhaps the most boring audit ever produced, leaving his most ardent fans searching for anything positive to say about his work, Jose Chili DeCastro released on Monday an audit featuring an apparent homeless man being apprehended by police in downtown Los Angeles. DeCastro's video featured a dark-haired man who towered over the 6 or 7 police officers surrounding him. He was already in handcuffs at the start of DeCastro's video and was screaming that he wanted to go home to his daughter. The video editor hired by DeCastro randomly sliced pictures of DeCastro making faces at the camera, apparently attempting to look like he was concerned for the man's well-being. DeCastro would later complain that holding up 2 phones was difficult as he was still out of shape from his time in jail earlier this year. Eventually, DeCastro made his pitch for digital detainment, wondering why the man was in torture cuffs despite knowing the man was being apprehended for assault with a deadly weapon and was screaming at the police. DeCastro eventually seemed pleased when the police took the man to be identified by a witness, and the witness apparently failed to identify him. His happiness was short-lived as the officer still put the man in the back of a squad car and took him to jail. The video was an example of DeCastro's new conflict-free style of auditing, as some of his viewers have complained that DeCastro was effectively neutered by his jailing earlier in the year. His great fear of being arrested again has seen him change his approach to auditing and interacting with police. For example, he no longer screams that he is a constitutional law scholar as if it holds some authority, and no longer insults and degrades officers to their faces. Those who are used to him confronting police or interjecting himself upon a police action were disappointed as he stayed 5 feet away from the scene and treated the officers on scene with respect. Other viewers have complained that DeCastro talks a good game behind his computer screen or in the presence of his few actual friends, calling for the death of police officers, and making degrading and humiliating comments towards them, but then turning around and being friendly and cordial to them to their faces. The practice, they say, again, gives into the idea that DeCastro is a paper tiger and no longer is worth the investment of time and money, as he no longer provides the entertainment value he once did when his actions backed up his words. This is apparent as DeCastro has claimed that he is shadow banned by YouTube and that there are large swaths of people, he has 625,000 subscribers after all, who want to view his videos but can't due to a ban. But this doesn't explain why DeCastro is doing so poorly on the new YouTube channels he opens, let alone on non-YouTube platforms. A recent video that he pulled from YouTube, for example, is still live on Twitter and only had 43 views as of press time, even though it's the only way to see the video. With DeCastro's failure to meet a promised Christmas 2024 release for his Constitutional Law Scholar board game, his self-neutering with his absolute fear of going back to jail, and his rapidly aged and degraded body as he hit 50 and it shows, 2024 may be ending with DeCastro old, forgotten and penniless as he pretends otherwise. This is a continuing news story.
Wallace rage quits own livestream again. Floyd Wallace found himself in a familiar place on Monday, as his extended fundraising effort for a trip to Brazil ended without meeting its goal, and with Wallace again rage quitting the stream. Wallace was pestered during the stream by user Snow Travels, who wanted Wallace to pay him the $100 he owes for losing a bet with the viewer. Wallace has promised to pay Snow Travels back for a month now, but has made an extended game of delaying paying him back as a one-sided joke at Snow Travels' expense. The main concern of the live stream was to raise $200. Wallace said he needed to travel to Brazil, and $100 he claimed to need to travel to Bogotá, Colombia. The Bogotá trip for the Christmas holiday would come first, as Wallace repeatedly claimed that he had a woman waiting for him to provide sexual favors for the holiday. Wallace was frustrated as it was payday for most YouTubers, and he hadn't received notice that his monthly pay, which he now estimates at $2,500 between all three of his monetized YouTube accounts, had not hit his bank account as of yet. The YouTuber managed to raise $25 from a viewer who wanted moderation manager status on his channel and immunity from banning, leaving the goal for his Brazil trip at $175, where it remained through the end of the stream. As YouTube creators who were in his side chat all said that they had received notice that their YouTube payments had gone through, Wallace became more and more agitated. Finally checking his email to see the notice that a payment had indeed gone through to his bank account, Wallace began to make excuses that the money would take some time to actually be deposited in his bank account. Snow Travels immediately warned the chat that a rage quit was coming and that Wallace would delete the stream. Wallace said that wouldn't happen, and 3 minutes later, the stream was ended and deleted, and Wallace purchased a ticket to Bogotá, Colombia on his own with the money from his YouTube revenue. Wallace has live-streamed twice since then and will feature the write-ups of his continued failed fundraisers, along with what led Wallace to ban our ReallyCoolNews account from his side chat in our next issue. Craig Hendry faces 3 more sets of charges. The cold spell gripping America continues to freeze out the market as we narrowly avoided goose eggs for another day with a small donation to Craig Hendry's to support Craig's work campaign to end the total destruction of the market over the past week. As Hendry would admit, $20 is $20. He got the win for the day as no other campaigns received donations for Monday. Hendry's currently serving 2 sentences in Indiana for felony stalking and a misdemeanor charge of harassment by means of a telephone call. Henry is serving his time concurrently and was sentenced to 548 days for the first sentence and 180 days on the second. A third charge was dropped as it was considered possible double jeopardy. Hendry also gets credit for the 79 days he served prior to sentencing and will be eligible for good time served if he keeps out of trouble. For those wondering why Hendry switched GoFundMe campaigns from the one claiming to go directly to his appeal to the more generic fund, there may be a reason for it. Despite Hendry's failure to mention it, he asked for and was appointed a public defender to handle his appeal on December 20th, 2024. Hendry also owes $229 in court costs and filing fees. The YouTuber is currently facing the following charges in Indiana. Green Superior Court, criminal misdemeanor, 35-44.1-3-1, A1/MA, resisting law enforcement, def. Knowingly/intentionally forcibly resist/obstruct, 35-44.1-2-14/MC, unlawful encroachment on an investigation approaches within 25 feet of LEO lawfully. Green Superior Court, criminal misdemeanor, 35-44.1-2-3D, 5/MB, false informing def. Makes a false complaint against a law enforcement office. Sullivan Circuit Court, felony 6, 35-45-2-1A, 4/F6, intimidation, committed because of the occupation, etc., 35-45-1-3A2/MB. Disorderly conduct. Unreasonable noise. 35-44.1-4-5/MA. Refusing to leave emergency incident area def. Not a firefighter. Knowingly or it.
Journalism is not free. Both ReallyCoolSite.org's daily newspaper and our daily newscasts are funded by your continuing donations and what we make from our YouTube AdSense revenue each month. If you'd like to contribute to help us keep the lights on, eating, keeping the cats fed, and writing new stories to feature on both the newspaper and newscast each day, we do have a GoFundMe set up at the address on screen right now. If you can't afford to contribute, please watch the advertisements on our videos, like, share, subscribe, and comment. You can help by doing next to nothing, and we thank you in advance for pitching in.
And we're back. It's a night off for our nightly live stream, but the stream will return tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time with Jim and the gang doing a holiday special. Tonight, we have the week in review from last week, and that should be live now. Hope to see you there, and have a very merry holiday. Good night, everyone.